Anything else that I need to see on manual focus?
I always want to call Markus Pössel.
Oh,
as in the eyepiece. Yeah.
I mean, hey, what the heck? Let's just start.
Okay. Well, I don't know about you, Chris, but you're much more professional than me. But whenever I'm this close to one of these kinds of microphones, the temptation is to try and eat it.
You can do that at the end,
yes.
Rob. But hello.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to the third international edition of Recycled Electrons.
Yes, that's right. I think we've done this in a basement in America.
Have. Oh, it's that third. Yes, that's right. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, on the Mississippi.
In a hotel room.
Indeed.
Nice and seedy. And here we are in the Haus Astronomie in Heidelberg in Germany.
In fact, we're just at the end of one of the spiral arms.
Yes.
Which is curves round, because this is shaped like M51. No, it doesn't have a black hole in the middle. We've done that joke already.
Although I didn't notice that we were showing the schematics for the building in a talk earlier, and there is a seat in the planetarium that is the direct centre of the building.
Really?
Which I must sit in at some point.
Indeed.
So, yes.
I think my favourite fact about this building, which is brand new astronomy outreach and education centre and planetarium and all sorts of awesomeness, my favourite thing is that if it were to scale as a spiral galaxy, it would only be 90 centimetres tall.
Yeah.
So, but that gives you a good sense of how thin spiral galaxies are.
They are, and I guess if this spiral galaxy building was to collide with another spiral galaxy building, they would not pass through each other quite as easily as a normal spiral galaxy would.
That's true, because the great collisions allow stars to pass each other, which is good.
Yeah.
Also, in the Haus Astronomie, we should say we have a Haus Astronomie. We have a guest on this international edition.
Yes. He's the managing scientist of this very spiral-shaped building institution.
Markus Pössel,
yes.
And he's going to throw us out when we start breaking his building.
Yes.
He's also responsible, if you're watching this on video,
yes.
Rob, or listener.
There's a camera
in fact,
somewhere.
not listener, but viewer. If you're viewer, not listener, if you're out there somewhere, wherever you are, yes, hello, welcome. This is what we look like. I'm Rob. This is Chris.
Oh, ow.
Oh, sorry, Rob.
This
Chris
is Chris
gets
abusing Rob.
Yes. But this is a first, and this is rather nice.
Yes.
We're playing, and the point is to play with the tech, because we're here for your Astronomy conference.
It technically, I guess it is mine. It's also yours and a few other people's.
And yours, listener and viewer.
And everyone.
Everyone. Astronomy is for everyone.
Yes, and all this kit and this wonderful stuff is sort of an experiment of sorts, which is very in keeping for our
Indeed.
podcast.
So, you should explain, yes, because we're experimental, but explain to listener or viewer, what is astronomy?
Oh, I wish I could answer that question. Astronomy is like...
Where did it come from? Who, he, what, why, and when?
It came from... I was doing my PhD in Cardiff in 2008, and I had the desire to get together people who were techie on the web.
In astronomy.
In astronomy, yes. Sorry, it's a given these days, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of code conference that goes on, people talking about code. But this is slightly different. It's about the web and astronomy. People use the web to communicate astronomy to people. They use it to do astronomy. And there are a great set of emerging tools that didn't exist in 2008 for actually doing research on the web, which people didn't believe me was true at the time. So it was about gathering those people together. So we did it in Cardiff in 2008. We did it in Leiden in 2009 at the Lorentz Centre.
With bikes.
At Oxford in April 2011, because they're not quite every year.
Yeah.
And here we are in the summer in Heidelberg in Germany. So
50 people running around. There's just over 50 people.
50 people. It's pretty free form. They're kind of doing what they want right now.
And in particular, yesterday was Hack Day, which is always wonderful. I had a particularly good Hack Day this year. I really enjoyed myself.
I've got a whole list on this here iPad of all the hacks that went on, and there are some really cool examples. What was your highlights? Because if we share these, they are probably going to be useful for me. I'm just sorry, my microphone is creeping ever closer to me. I'm going to attempt to move it. There may be a noise.
It's creeping closer to your crotch, specifically.
It is, isn't it? I'm going to...
There you go. Are you happy with that?
Yes, I think that's better.
Good.
It's sort of coming on to me, basically.
It is. Well, they do say make love to the microphone, don't they?
I might literally do that if I was to fall in an awkward angle. So, yes.
Yeah, that wasn't a highlight. So, Hack Day, the first thing was that everyone got hacking, which was cool.
Yes.
I really like, as Recycled Electrons, we have to credit Stuart Lowe and Brooke Simmons.
Yes.
For they worked on an acronym generator so that we could
Yes.
define whether it was doing it right or doing it wrong.
And in fact, even possibly vote on such a thing in the future.
Yeah, they seem to be muttering about some sort of point system, but
Yes.
clearly you're either right or wrong.
You're right
I think
or
it's
wrong.
it's a black and white thing for me.
Absolutely.
But I liked the fact they had a button for deciding whether you wanted to exclude obscene acronyms.
Right, yes.
Which seemed very in keeping. So that was nice. Some of the stuff that people have hacked in JavaScript is really cool.
There was an incredibly impressive display from Daniel Foreman-Mackey.
That's right.
who-
All hail.
All hail
Daniel
Foreman-Mackey, or
Foreman-Mackey.
danfm.ca, I think.
With some underscores.
Oh, there's some stuff. But he produced a piece of JavaScript code which has been optimized to within an inch of its life,
Yes.
to allow you to do a real-time fitting of data in the browser, and it's so fast and smooth.
Yeah, there's
And
lots more to do with it, but yeah,
it's
so
a
that's
great
it all.
idea.
Our own Emit, of course, from Adler, did something that allowed you to measure properties of an image in the browser,
Yes.
which is cool. That will be coming out on Galaxy Zoo before too
That's
long,
right,
I would
yeah.
imagine. So they were cool. Some nice videos, which no doubt will get shared.
I'm sure they will. There was a very cool Zooniverse feature, a bot
Yes.
that has already been discovered by users on our planet.
Yeah, this was David Hogg's idea, executed by Chris Beaumont and others, and I sat there and helped them, mostly by making...
Just move you around.
Oh, a voice.
A voice.
Do you hear a
I
voice?
do.
I hear a voice too. What does the voice tell us to do, Rob?
It's a new convention. I mean, you know about. You told me about guests not being.
Yeah,
allowed
yeah,
to
sure.
speak, but this is videos.
Okay, fine. So
The
what?
only thing I'm not allowed to be is to see.
All right. So what do you need us to do, voice?
There's sun, which I think we are astronomers are responsible for.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
If we could just move.
Are we going to move
sun.
entirely? Okay. Well, then we should cut. This is a first for recycled. Have you already cut?
No, I
We
haven't
should-
got anything yet.
well-
Shall we do it live?
Well, yeah. I think we should just
Okay.
move. We'll see how this works. Do we need to carry our mics with us? Yeah, we'll just carefully walk with it. So try not to say anything interesting at this point, Rob, because
Can I
it'll be
eat it
quite
now?
hard. So we don't really cut. This is gonzo podcasting.
We
That's
don't
all right.
cut, we don't cut.
That was my iPhone hitting the floor. So we're back here.
No. Face
No?
this way. Face this way.
All right, fine.
Face this way. Set up.
Okay.
The decision not to cut may be regretted shortly.
Well, we'll just cut. You'll never know whether we've cut or not, listener.
If Alfred Hitchcock can make tell me about that.
Indeed. Is it? What's the? Is it dogma? The-
My window.
What's the Danish school of filmmaking? Yeah. Voice is knowledgeable about many things.
Voice is knowledgeable. Yes, absolutely.
Now, as I was saying, and we're just going to. I think we should just keep talking.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's fine.
I had some highlights.
Well, no, but we were talking about Xenobot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course we were.
Because we're talking about Chris Beaumont. And the point was, David Hogg said, wouldn't it be cool if there was a robot that could be a citizen scientist?
yes. Right.
And we thought, well, we know robots can't classify, because that's why we're asking people to do this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And then we said, well, what if it could participate in the conversation? What if it could chat? And so we built a robot that could chat on Planet Hunter's talk.
It's great.
And so the first thing it did was declare itself.
Yeah, I am Xenobot.
It said, I am Xenobot, and then it clarified that it was a semi-sentient being.
Okay.
And then it got responses from users who like to ask it questions. And,
Right.
Somebody's Echo Lily May, who's our moderator and is awesome and should be all hailed, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
All hail Echo
Lily
Lily May. One of her children drew a picture of Xenobot, so we now know what it looks
excellent.
like. But the point is, we're going to use it, and now does useful things. If you use hashtag help, then
Yeah.
Xenobot will give you links to help. And if you
cool.
if you think you've found a planet, but it's actually an eclipsing binary, two stars going around each other, then Xenobot will politely suggest that maybe this is an eclipsing
Well,
binary.
and that's the power of it, because some of these are tasks that, at the moment, the scientists that man the science
Well,
teams...
actually, the moderators do
moderators.
often, or the experts on the forum. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
so I guess, yeah, I didn't mean scientists, I did just mean experts, because they come from both those sides.
Exactly.
But they're currently going around trying to do this, and of course it's a very busy forum, so the Xenobot...
Yeah,
is
and
a
I think
powerful
it will get more intelligent. I think one thing we need to do with it next is we need it to distinguish who it's talking to. So
Right.
if you're new on the site, you may want Xenobot to say different things to you.
Of course. So if you're on the Planet Hunters talk site, then you should...
If Xenobot is running, try doing hashtag help.
Yeah, and see if you are spoken to. So Xenobot has also been spoken to by other bots on Twitter.
That's right.
The Terminator has contacted Xenobot already.
Yeah, which was worrying.
Yeah, so sentience is predicted for August 29th.
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah.
What did you work on?
I was working on a fun idea. I had this thing that every hack day I go to, I spend most of my time making a website. And so I did not.
Because that's what you're good at.
Yes, right.
Sorry, Rob. One of the many things that you're good at.
The delightful range of things. But I find that it's actually not the most practical use of my own time for me, because I wanted to try and do something new. So I was playing with natural language processing in the astronomical literature.
That's right. I saw the results of that. That looked really cool.
Yeah, so we went through NASA's ADS site, which is the
There's all the papers.
Yeah, all the papers. And we extracted programmatically, so as in automatically and without their permission, don't tell them. And we found all the words, and we looked for words that aren't if, the, my, him, she, all that's gone. We're just trying to find astronomical words. And so the natural language processing comes in and trying to, you know, if there's plurals, you want to get rid of those.
Oh, so you want star and stars are the same thing?
To be the same thing. And you want spectra and spectrum to be the same thing. And
or supernovae and supernovas.
Right. And you also want things like spectroscopy and spectrograph to be the same thing.
And
probably.
Spectrographist.
Oh, if that comes up.
Or grapher.
But the point is, then you've got this huge database to play with, which is words as they come up in the literature, when they come up, who first writes them, when they're published. And the idea is that can be very useful. We haven't actually managed to produce a lot of results.
No, but you did show, there was a visualization around dark energy.
Yes, we took all the terms that are also in papers with the word dark energy.
Which is the acceleration of the universe. So it's the key cosmological thing, right? We don't understand dark energy. But what was interesting is the biggest blob, the term most associated with dark energy, is galaxies.
Yes, not dark matter, which you might think.
Well, maybe, but it's not a cosmological term, right? Yeah. It's to do with observational. I mean, partly you were searching astrophysical journals. And yes. Partly that's because people like me who care about galaxies have spent a long time saying, actually, the way you want to understand galaxies, the dark energy is to give me money to understand galaxies.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is still true, listener and viewer, still true.
So it's been, that has been interesting. I think there's way more to do, though, because those sort of simple network diagrams are one thing. I'm wondering if there's any kind of correlation between the popularity of a term and the way it's connected to all the other terms. So do terms emerge and become very well connected early?
Like avocado.
You might need to explain that one.
So I thought we talked about this. And I thought you remembered everything I ever said. So New York Public Library have a good crowdsourcing site looking at their menu collection. And you type in dishes on the menu and their price. And so you can do things like price of oysters over time. And you can see there's a huge peak in the popularity of oysters in New York towards the end of the 19th century, for example. For reasons, I'm obsessed with finding out why. I haven't done anything to act on this obsession, but nonetheless, it's come up a few times. But you can look at the competition between avocado and alligator pear to be the name of the thing. And you can see there's a point where avocado takes over.
So, I mean, yeah, that's actually related to... I was thinking of things like...
obviously not an astronomical example, that one.
When exoplanets are first discovered, which is 1995 by one definition, and 1992...
If you don't count Poxy planets around Poxy pulsars.
Right, and so there must be a sort of interesting trend to pick up on the words extrasolar planet, exoplanet, planet, and around that time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, extrasolar planet, it's just occurred to me, extrasolar planet is ESP. I wonder if anyone used that.
And so there's, I wonder what...
Yeah.
And now, I mean, exoplanet...
A quasar?
Quasi-stellar object.
QSO.
A QSO. So some of these are synonyms we need to disentangle, and some of them are interesting things to look at in terms of the history.
That's pretty cool.
So we could do that sort of stuff. So I say watch this space. I intend to carry on.
Yeah, successful hack day. We could put a link to most of the hacks.
Yeah, just looking through the list, there were some great videos. There was a response to Science It's a Girl thing, which I think we mentioned briefly.
Yeah, we did.
And I'm sure that will go online as in a response in a serious sense, a better version of the same idea.
Still funny, though.
There was somebody who took Ned Wright's cosmology calculator. There's Brooke and Stuart as well. So there were loads of things.
And this calculates basic things about how far away a galaxy is if you give it a redshift and the properties of your universe.
Yes, I'm just going to move my mic again.
Yeah, do. It'll be interesting to see if the voice can be induced to come out and fiddle with it if you play around with it.
It's just falling on me. I think that's kind of a lot of the hacks detailed there. And Dot Astronomy is about getting these people together so that they have a chance to work together and play about on projects that they wouldn't necessarily maybe consider their day job. Some of us are lucky enough to have this as our day job.
Because of Dot Astronomy.
But partly because of Dot Astronomy.
Well, we didn't meet at Dot Astro,
No.
but I remember being impressed by you at Dot Astro.
Well, everyone always is impressed by me, of course. Other people we've had speaking, we had Kevin Govender from the IAU's...
Oh yeah, we had talks as well.
Talks
It's
as
not
well,
just hacking.
from the IAU Office of Astronomy for Development in Cape Town in South Africa.
Yeah.
And he's talking about trying to use astronomy as a tool for... I guess
Social
I never
change?
use like the
Technological
word.
change?
It's tricky to figure out exactly the term that doesn't sound patronising. So it's all about trying to enable people through astronomy, and that being a way into science that's sort of awesome and wondrous.
Well, I think that's okay.
I think
Enabling is okay.
We've had loads of talks about tech and about data mining and some of the tools involved, like Python. There was a very cool talk by Tom Kitching about Kaggle, which is a site where you can go. I was going to use this as my tip today.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kaggle.com.
Well, why don't we put tips in the middle of this?
Let's just do tips. My tip is Kaggle.com. If you fancy trying to win actual prizes for being a data scientist.
Yeah. Actual money. Cash money. Real cash money. Gold.
Or sometimes trips somewhere was a prize for
That's
one
right.
of them.
You got to meet the scientists.
Meet the scientists. Yeah, so Kaggle is about, there are competitions, and these are big challenges sometimes, and sometimes they're smaller ones, with specific prizes. It's a really fun idea. It's sort of a marketplace for if you're interested in...
it's for people who can solve machine learning problems, often.
Often, yes.
Right, so Tom's example was... Actually, there's a segue in here, because
Okay.
Tom's example was he ran a challenge which wasn't called Great 08. It was called something 10. Great 08 was a predecessor.
Oh, I see, okay.
But the technological problem they were looking for was weak lensing.
Yes.
We're back to galaxies to understand cosmological parameters again.
Weak lensing is another term in that network diagram. From
Indeed.
earlier. Yes.
So weak lensing is... you know what strong lensing is.
Yes.
Right? And in fact, Lens Toy was excellent. There's a really cool demo by Phil Marshall and Stuart Lin, which will put a link to the blog where you can move a galaxy around and see how its lensed image changes. Which is pretty cool. So that's strong lensing, where you get the beautiful Einstein rings and these arcs and all of that. But the light from most galaxies will be bent slightly by its passage through the universe, because it passes near mass. But this is quite weak, because you need the alignment to be perfect to get these big arcs. And so you have to do a statistical survey. You have to study thousands of galaxies and see if the ones over here on the left are slightly tilted to one direction, the ones over here on the right are slightly tilted the other way, or slightly not round, they become elliptical. And so it's about measuring the shape of these galaxies to ridiculous precision. Not shape in the sense of galaxy zoo, spiral arms and bars and so on, but how rounded are they and which way are they elliptical. And so years ago, people like Sarah Bridle at UCL decided that they could do this by crowdsourcing to the machine learning community. So that was great, right? This one used Kaggle, and they got really good results.
Yeah,
so about 20% or so improvement, I think.
That's right. And they got results they hadn't expected, in the sense that when you ask a bunch of people to solve a problem, they can come up with things you wouldn't have thought of.
The top three, what was really exciting for me, I think, was that the top three entries used completely different methods.
Yeah, and one of them used a method that the astrophysicists had thought was impossible.
Yes.
And that was kind of fun.
It's pleasing.
So I thought Kaggle was a good tip if anyone's got a major computer.
If you like hacking away at
yeah,
stuff.
you need some time and some space, I think.
One of the people who came near the top of Tom's Kaggle thing was a glaciologist.
Yes.
Glaciologist?
Glaciologist?
Who'd been studying
a glaciologist studies mints.
Right.
Yes.
Well, how does the polar bear stay on top of the mint?
I don't know. And why does the fox care?
But somebody who created code for cutting out the shapes of icebergs and applied this to lensing. But the reason weak lensing is topical is that there's some news from outside Heidelberg and outside Astronomy.
What?
It's a discovery of a filament.
Other people are doing things?
Indeed.
God.
Because we only let 50 people come to the conference.
Oh, yeah.
So there are still some astronomers outside. I'm sure they'd all be here if they could.
I can't see them, but okay.
No, beyond Heidelberg even.
Oh, right.
Yes, not even in Oxford.
Okay.
Perhaps on the other side of the Atlantic. Perhaps
But
in
what
a
have
place.
they done then with this filament?
Well, what they've done is they've used weak lensing to try and... Do you remember these maps of matter in the universe that got produced a few years ago from Hubble surveys?
Yeah,
where
okay.
you get these sort of strangely blobby maps and you can see the matter around galaxy clusters. So they did that for a couple of galaxy clusters, but they were able to see the filament joining them. So a density of dark matter that joins the two clusters. Right. The reason that's cool is that if you think of... Close your eyes.
Okay.
Viewer, close your eyes as well if you're
Markus,
still watching.
close your eyes as well.
Mark, and imagine the Millennium simulation, those beautiful, big simulations of a forming universe that you fly through, and you see galaxies colliding and collapsing. You can open your eyes, that's fine. You're visualizing this?
Yep.
Of course, all the material, yes, you have the blobs of the galaxy, but there are all these long filaments in between.
Tendrils.
Right?
So
And the claim is that this, when Tom was one of the authors of the paper, the claim is this is one of the first detections.
Oh, that's pretty
which
cool.
I think was cool and worthy of note, even though it didn't happen in Heidelberg.
I have another tip. Am I allowed to?
Yeah, I've got one too, but you go first.
Designing data visualizations.
Oh,
it's a
yeah,
book.
the book.
So one of our keynote, well, it's a sort of dual keynote, two people in one talk.
The keynote.
Julie Steele
Keynote.
and Noah Ilinsky, who definitely need an all hail.
All hail them.
All hail Julie. Yeah, well, there you go. All hail them, Julie and Noah. They co-authored a book about data visualizations, and they've come along and tried to.
They're the non-astronomers.
They're non-astronomers, which is good for .astro. There are always a few coming along to tell us what we're doing wrong and how to do it better, and it always produces an interesting response when people do that in any community.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I mean, I don't want to name any names. It was great. They did the talk. Well, they are professional data visualizers at this point, and people standing up saying, "Well, that's all right, but it's different in astronomy."
Yeah, and
you always get that.
I thought what was really nice was they were saying that they were arguing against the use of color gradients.
Yes.
Right, because is purple bigger than yellow?
Right.
I think it pretty clearly is, but people aren't consistent on this. I mean, which way?
Well, if you ask the Queen, it would be, or the Church, right? Purple's.
Well, purple's the Emperor's colour because of crushed sea snails.
Nice.
Do you know that?
No, but carry on.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right, good. But they're saying one exception is clearly with temperature. They showed a map of the US organised by temperature, and they said because everyone knows that red is hotter and blue is colder, which by Hans Walter Rix.
Yes,
all hail Hans Walter Rix.
He's not even on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of 3 people at this conference not on Twitter.
Yeah.
But Hans Walter said, no, in astronomy the convention's the other way round because everyone knows that blue is hotter than red. Yeah. And this caused confusion. It didn't invalidate their point, but it just goes to show it's about your audience.
I think Markus is pointing out that I think maybe he said that.
Oh, you said that?
I think he was the one that
pointed
that
Markus.
out. So
have we all hailed?
Case,
all hail Markus Pössel.
I'm
so sorry. Markus, thank you for being a guest. I can't believe we've been so nice about your house.
That's things Chris and Rob got wrong this week.
That's right. Yes.
Fixed right now on
That's great. It's almost as if this is live. I have some more news from elsewhere.
Oh, go on then.
Well, it's about arsenic. Do you remember the arsenic life saga?
Of course. This was the story about potentially finding a life form that appeared to be able to live off arsenic. Or no, its DNA was...
It used arsenic rather than phosphorus.
Yes. But there was some controversy over this.
There was. It was bollocks.
Yes. And so what's the update?
It's bollocks.
Oh, good. Okay.
But Science has published 2 papers that show it's bollocks.
Oh.
And they came out. And what's nice about this is how science is supposed to work. That's science with a small s, not science with a capital. When I say Science has published papers, I'm talking about science with a big S, which is the journal. Whereas I say this is how science is supposed to work, I mean science with a small s, the cultural artifact and general exploration.
Yes.
Although I guess that could include the fact that this is how science with a big S, by which I mean the journal and not the cultural artifact, is supposed to work.
And neither should be confused with science with 2 S's, which is a club once in Birmingham.
And how is science with 2 S's supposed to work?
I just thought it was a silly name. It's just, no C, there's an S. So, stupid name.
Science. Science.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so the papers are 2 groups of people who've done experiments and shown that there's very little evidence, in fact, 0 evidence of anything unusual going on with these bacteria. But what I wanted to say was this is being hailed rightly as progress of science, and that's great. And we talked at the time, or at least I talked to lots of people at the time, I think it might have been from a time before recycled electrons, about how it was a travesty how this paper came out in the first place.
Yeah.
The paper is sort of cagey, maybe.
Yeah.
It's certainly more cagey than the press. This is the one, do you remember? The press release came out saying that NASA would make an announcement about
alien life
in 3 days' time.
Extraterrestrial.
That had implications for extraterrestrial life. And then at the press conference, the scientists were much more certain than the... and then it came out, the bacteria is called GFAJ1, and it turned out that GFAJ stands for Give Felicera a Job, named after the lead author. But then that's the kind of thing you might do in the lab, right?
It was a bad move in this case.
Well, but So I just want to say I have some sympathy for her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think we should leave her alone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because she's been proved to be utterly wrong.
Yeah, it's not a time to be, I don't know, trying to highlight her as an example.
No,
or
exactly.
anything.
But all hail Rosie Redfield.
All hail Rosie
who
Redfield.
put
She's
her own
awesome.
research aside, blogged openly and wrote the paper, one of these two papers.
Normally I write down the all hails. I'm never going to remember them.
Well, there's quite a lot of all hail so far, but that's because life is awesome.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, go for it.
I wanna shout out all hail Kelly Cruz for Astro Beta.
Did you just do a gesture?
What do you
There
mean?
was a shout-out gesture
There
going
was
on
a
there.
shout out gesture for Kelly
I
Cruz.
hope we
for
got
Astro-
that. Marcus, did we get that? We got the gesture a little. Good, okay. Maybe you should do it again just in case.
What you mean?
I think there's a close-up happening.
Oh, you mean if I was to say I want all hail Kelly Cruz?
All
I
right.
want to give her a shout out.
Can we all hail? I think Astrobed is amazing.
You can't all hail Astro Beta, but you can all hail Kelly
No,
Cruz.
I know, but I argued with her at the end of her talk.
Oh, well then let's save this all hail.
Yeah,
I always
I'll
like
feel
it when
better
we have to
about it in
save
the
them.
future. But
We'll have a nice row then.
do we want to talk about that now?
Only to say Astro Beta's a
I think
website.
Astro Beta is awesome.
If you're into astronomy,
And Kelly's
it's-
cool too.
It's really cool, and Kelly's awesome. So
Kelly is awesome.
She also had a great quote about perfectionism in science, which is, "It's never going to get done. It's never going to get done. Go and play tennis.
Indeed, preferably real tennis.
Preferably the Oxford style."
It's not Oxford style. It's just proper tennis, Rob.
So what else can we say?
Well, very little. Well, there's seasons on Titan.
Okay.
So Cassini has reported that they can see the signs of changing seasons in like
Nice.
methane mist
I
around
wonder
the
how they
South
will
Pole.
visualize that data. That's what I'm obsessed with now.
Titan is tricky because it's orange,
Yeah, it is
covered in
orange.
clouds.
Methane rain.
Methane rain.
Yeah. Well, I think we probably need to start wrapping this up.
Yeah, 'cause we've got to go
we're
back to
actually
our
doing
conference.
this in one of the unconference sessions at in the conference, so we're going to need to dash. But what else do we need to cover here?
Well, we
today?
need to say thank you to Marcus
We
for
do.
being our guest.
We do. Let's give
for
him
you-
another all hail.
All hail Markus
Pössel.
Pössel.
Hello.
Hello, well done. And we'll be covering more, no doubt, about the Haus der Astronomie in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
and-
try and get a shot of it for the blog.
Indeed.
And and then we'll be back. I'm be back with in Cicada Land.
Back in Cicada Land.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we haven't talked about.
Oh, quickly,
We
yes.
haven't talked about
all
the fact.
hail Ross Wiz.
Indeed,
on
or
Twitter,
Ross Wiz.
who sent me the correct species name for the cicadas you could hear, and he had the lat long right within an hour's drive.
But how?
I don't.
Are they local cicadas? Or is he
No,
stalking you?
It's quite a widespread of those cicadas. I think he's French, and maybe they just know more about cicadas than I do.
All right, so back to Cicada Land for Rob. I will be in Chicago, continuing our jet set lifestyle. And we shall see you all. Well, no, we won't see you all for a while, but we'll let you listen to us again next week.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Cool. And then just before you cut, we have to do an outro. If that's all right?
Just on the audio. It's your turn.
It is. You've just endured an episode of Recycled Electrons with me, Chris Lintott, or is it Rob Simpson and Rob Simpson, or is it Chris Lintott? In any case, we're Chris Lintott and Orbiting Frog on Twitter. You can follow us at RecycledElec on Twitter or find us at recycledelec.com. This episode was recorded in the Haus der Astronomie in Heidelberg, next to the Max Planck Institute for Astrophysique, with the kind assistance of many locals. Today's sandwich has a bloody great sausage in it.
I'm going to get so many basic tutorials on video filming after this.
That's okay. It will amuse us. I'm sorry we moved and didn't let you reset, but it just seemed amusing at the time.
That's totally okay.
Good.
Well, I hope that was useful for you. It's kind of interesting. All right then. Can we help you here? What do you need? I guess.